Hi, this is Kathy Simmons, addictions expert, and welcome to the third video in the series addressing the top 3 headaches that hypnotherapists have working with their smoking clients. As you know, these were identified in an anonymous survey of hypnotherapists, and today's video addresses the #1 challenge with an astonishing 51% of respondents ticking this one. Wonder if it resonates with you. Frustration #1 is they want something done to them and won't engage in the process. But before I move on, I want to say, if you were one of the people that responded, the comments sent in were also hugely indicative of the frustration that this one causes. So thank you so much for those who filled in the survey. It really was helpful. Okay, so we'll be looking at why it's so hard to get engagement from smokers. What's going on? And then, of course, what is it we can do about it? So how can we actually get someone engaged in the process from the very word go? And this is the key, right from the word go. But let's look firstly at why it happens. Firstly, of course, there are so many people out there claiming 99% success rates in 1 hour, stop smoking with this, and so many people actually believe that they just go in, close their eyes, be put under as it were, and never want a cigarette again. And you know what? I am speaking as one of these people. I wanted it done to me. I did have some faith in it. So, of course, for some people, and I'm an example, that really can happen. But we know that addiction is complex, and everyone is different. And there are so many aspects that may need to be addressed with each client to make the change permanent and complete. So general perception is one of the reasons. Expectations again. Secondly, nicotine hijacks the survival system in such a way that the brain learns that cigarettes are essential for life in exactly the same way as it does with food, sex, and security. And therefore it motivates the smoker to grab nicotine at any available opportunity. Well, the brain has been tricked. So if the brain genuinely thinks that it's essential for life, of course there'll be a part of them that really doesn't want to stop. And that part can sabotage the whole thing by not allowing them to engage, just in case it's successful. There's a part of them screaming, "Don't take this away from me, it's gonna kill me." So fear of stopping is a big one. People might be scared of withdrawals, especially if they've gone cold turkey, as it were, before, or just used willpower. So they may be scared of withdrawals, but also people find it hard to imagine life without cigarettes. And I hear this so often. How can I get through this stressful event? Or how can I get through this social event without a cigarette? It seems impossible. And for them, it's also easy to forget that there was ever a time in their life when smoking wasn't a part of it. And of course, because the unconscious mind genuinely believes that it's essential for life, then the conscious mind will always find ways to justify it with things like, it's my only pleasure, helps me when I'm stressed, even though, of course, cigarettes cause stress. So I want to introduce to you a thing called the cycle of change, and you may have come across this before, as it's a model that's used a lot in addictions. I'm not going to go into it in detail here because we've only got a few minutes, but just to introduce the concept of it, that it shows the different stages that people typically go through in dealing with their addictions, starting with pre-contemplation down here, which of course is, not even thinking about it, doing something about it. Then there's the contemplation phase. Maybe I should do something about it. The preparation, which might be like investigating different ways of help, the national health, hypnotherapy, patches, tablets, etc. And the action, which is where they're actually picking up the phone and speaking to you. Then, of course, there's the relapse prevention, if you like. There's the maintenance of this, and this is the crucial time in a lot of addictions where relapse typically happens. So I'm not going to go into that in detail, but it's just a useful model when you're speaking to someone to see, so you can assess where they are. So, okay, that's all very well. What can we do about it? For me, I believe very strongly that it starts in the very, very first conversation. Remember, going back to the cycle of change, that action step where they've actually picked up the phone to you is when they are in their greatest pain. Something's happened, there's been a tipping point. It's right, I've got to do something about it now. I'm phoning this person right now. This is the time. Okay? So this is the best time to get their engagement straight away. Assess where they are on the cycle of change. And if they really aren't ready to book there and then just help them move up one step. And that can be done conversationally if they're not there yet. I cover this in the training, but there's an awful lot you can do from this first conversation. It's also a good idea to get their commitment level, both at the start of the conversation and again after you've finished talking to them, because they might start saying, well, you ask them how strongly you're committed to stopping, and they say, well, I'm a 6 out of 10. I'm not really quite sure yet. The idea of the conversation is to move them to a higher number. So it's a great indication if you ask them at the end again, so how committed are you now feeling to do something about it? And they go, oh, I'm a 10, I'm a 10. That's the power of this initial conversation. And in the conversation, listen to them. Listen to their reasons. Listen to what's important to them. And come from a place of no judgment. Of course, in some ways that's stating the obvious, but it's so refreshing for these people who have been beating themselves up, thinking that it's some sort of lack of willpower, some sort of moral failing. It's not, is it? Educate. Step 1 of the 7-step framework for smoke-free clients is know your science. This is essential, not only for understanding how to really precisely target your therapy, but it plays an important part in getting their engagement in the first place. If you, in this conversation, if you explain to them what's going on and tell them how it isn't their fault, that the nicotine has hijacked their natural survival systems, once they realise it's not their fault and that you know enough about it to be able to help, this is a huge relief to them, and this is where the seed of hope starts to grow. They realise it's not their fault, they're open to it. And this also sets you up as the expert. And you will stand out as someone that they want to work with because you know what you're talking about. Future pace. Now, we're not talking about in the therapy room here, we're talking about that first conversation, remember. This is where it starts, but you can continue this in all your dealings with them. When you're on the phone, future pace them. Get them to imagine what their smoke-free life will be. Get them to tell you their solution state when they're on the phone. All the lovely things they're going to notice that are different, all the things they'll be able to do differently, things they'll be feeling differently, all the things that you already know how to do. And sometimes people can't imagine life without. Then we use the wouldn't it be nice game. So you just ask them to dream for a little bit and start every sentence with the phrase, wouldn't it be nice? So they might not be able to imagine themselves, going through a social situation without a cigarette, but they might be able to say, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I could be calm and completely collected throughout any stressful situation? Wouldn't it be lovely if I didn't even think about a cigarette throughout that whole social event? Wouldn't it be nice if... And can you see, if they start each sentence with that, then it's focusing the unconscious on what they want instead. And because they're not saying, I will be doing this, they're actually more likely to believe it by saying, wouldn't it be nice? And because it's focusing the unconscious on what they want instead, we all know how powerful that is, don't we, as hypnotherapists? Now, once they've booked with you, give them tasks to do before their appointment. Tasks that start to prime the mind for the change that's to come. Or tasks designed to begin to make the unconscious smoking a conscious thing, for example. Things like a smoking diary are all really, really good. Things to interrupt the unconscious part of the smoking. And again, this gets them involved. It gets them being part of their own therapy. And it gets their engagement. And sometimes it gets them very, very excited. And occasionally, they actually stop smoking before they come in the room. This has happened just by doing the tasks. It's amazing how powerful they are, isn't it? Oh yes, take a deposit. Now your business model is also important, not just for your business, but for getting their engagement. Take a deposit and charge something that reflects the value you are giving them. In the training, I share with you the business model that I've used very successfully for years, and it allows me to earn well from helping smokers, but at the same time you get that engagement and commitment of the client, which makes all the difference to their success. So, you know, everyone wins, basically. So at the absolute minimum, get a deposit on the phone, and they are so much more committed. You won't get any no-shows, that's for sure. So, well, you obviously realise now that helping smokers get free completely and permanently is something that I really am passionate about, as well as helping more hypnotherapists to be brilliantly successful with their smoking clients. So I really hope that you found these brief videos helpful. As you can imagine though, this is just scratching the surface and there's so much more to cover. It was really hard for me to draw out the salient points in so few minutes. But so I'd really love to let you know about the online training, Get Complete Confidence Working with Smokers, which is just about to launch. And I'm so excited about this because it's making it available to more people, regardless of where they are. So if this is something you're interested in finding out more about, then I'll be sending through another video tomorrow, which explains all about the training and also how you can get hold of it. So watch out in your inbox for this. And as part of the launch, I'm going to be offering some really juicy extras for anyone that signs up soon. So I really recommend watching the videos straight away to take advantage of them. Of course, this isn't for everyone, so if it's not something you're interested in taking to the next level, then I really hope these videos have been helpful to you in your work with smokers. So get out there, help more people get free, and save some lives.